Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back to another video, and this today's episode is a VR to Andy at Zanoni Revived, who himself did a VR to somebody else, I forget who, but basically it was your 5 most embarrassing items in your collection and sort of 5 of your favourites, and I'll put a link in the description to Andy's channel, Zanoni Revived. Go check him out. He's been off the tubes for a while, but he's back just recently. Great to see him back. So this is my take on it. I'm not embarrassing. I'm kind of going with embarrassing stroke, stupid stroke, not much cop, and ridiculous maybe. So I think we'll do one crap, one good, one crap, one good, and we'll go in that sort of order. So first off, what should we go with first? Yeah, we'll go with this first. Now I could have picked half a dozen different ones instead of this really, but those of you who know, last year I was completing a full Wii U set, and anybody who's collected full sets of anything knows that means you've got to buy some total turds. So a lot of the games on the Wii U obviously aimed at kids, but on the whole, in my experience, I don't think any of them are terrible, with the exception of a few. So I could have gone with any of the Just Dance games, because they are obviously turds of a huge kind, but I think possibly an even bigger turd is this Barbie Dream House Party. I mean, there are a couple of Barbie games. The other one is kind of playable. You know, it's not dreadful. But this one is total shit. It's total shit. It's a steaming pile of horse manure. It's one big lump of brown stuff. But who knows? In a few years' time, this could be worth 200 quid. You've only got to look at the Barbie game on the 3DS that poor Retro had to buy. And you know, massive problem to get hold of it. This isn't too bad at the moment, you can get it. But who knows? Could be sitting on a fortune here. Time will tell. So, we'll go for a good one now. Yeah, we'll go for this one. Now this, just about get it on the camera. This is not my original one, unfortunately, but it's the same as. So this is the very first console I ever had. Traded in my glorious, well not traded in, but sold my glorious ZX Spectrum to get one of these back in the day, and blew my mind. Obviously, the step up in graphics and sound and instant loading with cartridges, it was amazing. And it was, you know, this exact model of the Mark 1 that I had with hang-on built in, the very early model with the snail maze game, sorry, built in, and the hang-on card inside the box, and the 2 joysticks with the screw-in miniature, the 2 control pads with the screw-in miniature joysticks. And I'm you know, really glad I managed to track one back down. The box, you know, it's by no means mint condition, but inside's quite nice. But I'm absolutely chuffed to have this back, because it's not the easiest thing to find anymore. It's the very first edition of the Master System 1. So I'm, you know, delighted to have that in the collection. Right, turd number 2. Now, I'm not sure you'd call this a turd necessarily, but it's just something I collected because I had it when I was a kid. And it's this. Now, it's a Tommy Electronics LCD game. And I think it was Kevin Keegan sponsored on the box. I've not got the box, unfortunately. But it's made by Toma, battery operated soccer game, obviously. And you've got the controls here, so you can play 2-player, obviously. And you've basically got sort of left, right, forwards, and you've got a defence button. But nothing moves on the actual panel, except there's a red dot representing the football which passes between the players you can see on the pitch. And you get the score at the top there, in the top box. Now, it's crap. No two ways about it. But, you know, this was probably early 1980s I had this. And at the time, it used to be fantastic, I thought. So, when I saw it a few years back on eBay, I thought, well, I've got to jump on it and at least reminisce my childhood. So, you know, I rarely ever use it, but it's nice to have and reminisce about how things used to be. Right, second good one is this. Now this is obviously, for those who know, Sambad Amiga for the Sega Dreamcast. And I just love this so much. I mean, the box is beautiful, obviously. Fantastic artwork. But it's just so unique. There's never been another game anything like this in my experience. You know, a rhythm game with working maracas to control the game. That, you know, they've got something inside that make them sound like proper maracas. It's just amazing. Absolutely loved this game back in the day. Played it to death. Got loads of bonus tracks. I remember there being outrun tracks you could, you know, do the maracas to. I can't remember if you bought them on the Dreamcast online or you unlocked them. I can't remember. But this is my original one from brand new back in the day, and it's in, you know, it's in mint condition. And I didn't realise until very recently how expensive this is now. I'm sure the last time I looked it was something like 350 quid to buy one of these now. It's crazy. I can understand it's a rare item, and you know, a lot of them probably ain't got the box and everything, but it's not worth that kind of money. As fantastic as it is, and I'd still say it's fantastic now. And there is a sequel, Sambad Amiga 2000, on Japanese and American, which I don't think came out PAL. But you know, you can use these PAL maracas on the import machine, no problem. So something I'd never sell. And if you haven't played it, if you've got the chance to play it, I thoroughly recommend it. It's amazing. There is a version on the Wii, but it don't compare really. Right, crap item number 3. Well, I wouldn't call this crap. It's kind of weird and stupid, a bit ridiculous, and I've never seen another one. And when I saw this, I thought, well, I've got to at least buy that because it was cheap, you know, just to try it. What the hell's it look, you know, going to function like? And it's this. As you can see, it's a joystick, well, kind of a controller anyway. And it's made by Spectra Video. It's a quick shot item. I don't know if you can see that there on the, maybe, just about. And you know, looking at it, you think, oh, it's a trackball, but not really. You've got the 2 fire buttons, and they're micro switched. You know, it feels quite nice. But rather than this being a trackball that you roll around, it's actually a joystick, which is also micro switched. And you know, you put your hand on it to simulate the movements of the joystick, and then you've got the fire buttons down the bottom, obviously. So you can use that on your home 8-bit computers, Technically, I suppose you might be able to try it on the Master System. I've not tried it, but it might work. It's got two fire buttons, possibly. But it's just such a quirky item. I've never seen another one. I mean, I can't believe it was very successful. It's got auto fire as well. I mean, it's not something I use, but I just love the quirky nature of it. But that said, I mean, it's a ridiculous, stupid item, isn't it? What they were thinking there, who knows? Right. Favourite item number 3 is this. Now, you might say, why has he picked up an OG Xbox? Nothing too special about that. Well, you might think the OG Xbox is the best thing ever made. I mean, I've got nothing against it, it's a decent console. But this one in particular is a modded Xbox, and I only picked this up recently. You might, if you've watched the video, you might have already seen. I'll put that down before I get muscle strain. I've been to the gym today, so that's the bench pressing done. But yeah, that's a modified Xbox, and I bought that specifically for all the coin-ups and the arcade games that it's got preloaded on the hard drive. One of the best things I've ever bought. It's obviously got emulators for other stuff like Mega Drives and SNES and Game Boys and Commodore and, you know, loads of stuff. But I bought it solely for the arcade games, and it's one of the best things I've ever bought. I think for around, you know, whatever they, 100 quid we'll say, it's the best 100 quid you could ever spend, because you've got hundreds of classic arcade games from the 80s mainly, some 90s. But absolutely brilliant. Get yourself one of them, a HD lead, or maybe a HDMI converter for it, and it looks absolutely mega. One of the best things you could ever buy, in my opinion. So, stupid item number 4, we've got this. Now this, as you can see, is a dance game. It's for the PS2, it's Japanese. I'm assuming it's based on the arcade of the same name, as you can see on the box. I suppose it's much like the other ones you see, like Dance Dance Revolution and all that kind of stuff. But this isn't the Konami one. This is made by Jalico. Step in selection, as you can see. But yeah, it's your basic dance game with 6 buttons on the dance mat. Obviously, it's the game and dance mat in the box. But, and I mean, it's all like cheesy, shitty 90s pop on the disc. But I don't know, for some reason, when I bought this, brand new, back whenever it was, late 90s, no, be after that, wouldn't it? Be about 2000. But when I bought, I'd never played a dance game before, and I don't know, it was probably just a novelty, but I really enjoyed this at the time. I mean, I haven't played it since, you know, 20 years later, I've still got it, and it's never come out of the box. You know, ridiculously, you know, I've kept it all these years, you know. I'm never going to play it, you know. Can you see an old retro gamer playing a dance mat? So, you know, stupid to hang on to it really, but there's a bit of sentimental value. And it's probably worth next to nothing anyway. So, it's what will stop in the collection. So, item number 4. Now this, or good item number 4 I should say. Now this could quite easily have been on the embarrassing 5 list. Because, no two ways about it, it's total shit. Now this again is part of the full Wii U set I got. And the only reason I'm including it on this sort of most treasured of items side of the argument is the fact it's so difficult to get. And yes, if you've watched my Wii U videos, you'll know this is the last one I needed to get, and it's probably the hardest Wii U game to buy. It's ridiculously expensive even now, so you know, imagine in 20 years time when the Wii U is potentially, you know, really expensive to collect for. What's this going to be worth? You're probably looking at over 200 quid to buy this now. It's probably between, if you get it between 200 and 300, I think you're doing well. There are just none of these about. There are some other people on YouTube I know who also need this. So that's the reason I'm including it on my kind of things I'm most proud of in my collection. It's just because it's so difficult to get, and it completed the Wii U set for me. I'm never going to play it. You know, it's shockingly bad, obviously. It might be brilliant. I've never tried it. I can't imagine it's any good. But yeah, if you're chasing a Wii U set, you're going to have trouble with that one, which is why I'm most proud of it. As you know, if you watch the video, I had to buy a complete bundle, massive bundle of Wii U stuff just to get this. So that's why it's on my sort of most favourite 5 items. So the last ridiculous item on my list, and I'm going for these. Now, why, you might ask? Well, because, as you're probably well aware, Outrun is my favourite game ever. But, you know, I've got it on every console possible that I own. If there's a version of Outrun for something I've got it. But these, if you notice, are for the Amstrad CPC 464. I haven't got one of them. So, why the hell have I got these, you might ask? That's a bloody good question. They're just nice to look at, aren't they? You know, I just like that box on the shelf. You know, a stupid reason to own it, yes, for a system you don't own. But admittedly, I did used to own the computer, but I sold that and all the games, but I kept these because I couldn't bear to part with them. So you might think I'm mad, but that's the reason why I've still got them. But I appreciate it's kind of ridiculous. Right, the last item, one of my proudest things that I own, and I've had this since brand new, back in the mid-90s, whenever it was, and arguably the greatest console ever made. And I'm talking about the Super Nintendo, but in particular the American Super Nintendo. Not due to how it looks, because it looks like the back end of a bus that's fell out the ugly tree and hit the barn door on the way down. But for me, you know, I obviously had the English Super Nintendo to start with, but shortly after having it, I discovered the world of imports, and I bought an American Super Nintendo. And when you compared that with the PAL version, absolutely no comparison. This pisses on a PAL Super Nintendo from a great height. It's night and day. Full screen, no borders, full speed. It's a different world. And you know, regardless of where your Super Nintendo's from, just in general, it's one of the greatest consoles ever made, possibly the greatest. So for that reason, this is one of the things I'm most proud of in my collection, because it's still just as amazing today as it was 30 years ago, and forever will be, in my opinion. It's you know, it's the pinnacle of sort of 2D gaming, isn't it? That generation, really. I know you can get great 2D games now, but you know, there's something about the 16-bit generation that it's never going to age, is it? It's just perfection. And so that's why that's possibly, well, certainly one of the favourite things in my collection. So there we go, guys. That's my top 5 of both sides of the argument. If you fancy having a VR to this yourself, please go ahead. I know a few have had a go now, but it'd be great to see anybody else who wants to get involved. Like I say, I'll link Andy's channel in the description below. Please check out his video. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Sayonara.